Hello friends, welcome back to an interesting look at 7 Days to Die with Rongo the Bold. So Z-Nation posed a question after I had my rwgmixer file mod video, and it got me thinking. I'd kind of been thinking as well because the pimps had mentioned they're going to be working on, they have a new artist who's working on water, and they're talking about adding boats and stuff to the game for the future. And then Z-Nation asked me a question about, could you make a WaterWorld? And I'm like, yeah, I think you could do it. So I set out to do a little bit of testing, and yes, you can. Now this is a fairly in-depth change that you need to make. So let's look at the map just so you can kind of get a sense of things. Now you can control, and I'll show you guys step by step how to do something like this. But at the same time, I wanted to do a couple things. So anyway, I've got tons of water everywhere. I currently have zombies turned off, but you can turn. I mean, you can turn zombies on as well. Zombies don't really give a shite if they're underwater or not, but they'll be moving slow. That's for sure. The hordes, those feral hordes, lot of time to deal with them. You know what you could, you could also set it so they can't spawn on desert ground. And then that would be a really interesting world. I just thought about that. But again, it'd be a very different experience, a very different kind of game. And since we don't have boats yet, and I don't know if you can actually drive it, we'll find out. We'll find out if you can drive a mini bike in water. But while we're here, and I realized we need to be able to breathe, so I quickly threw together a quick little mod. Cans, boom, boom, boom. Let's make a few of these. There we go. Can of air. This is my quick and dirty, be able to breathe underwater kind of deal. So we're gonna. Oops, I must have something wrong. Let's just add the buff. I didn't actually test that ahead of time, so we're just going to buff. Oops, buff. Aqua Man. There we go. And you thought he was the dumbest. Really, Rongo? I spelled dumbest wrong. I'll fix that later. All right, and I was here, and I happened to see the bunker, so I thought I'd go ahead and take you guys over. I'm going to go ahead and go into debug mode so I can move faster. Now you are going to have slow movement, but the buff called Aquaman, which you'll have, there's an item called Can of Air. It's craftable. It's really cheap. You know, pipe, glass pane, and can. You saw the recipe right there. That was all you need. I figured I'd go ahead and do it. Anyway, this buff lasts for 1 in-game hour. That's what I set it to. Or you need to pick as well. Pick. That's good enough. There we go. Oh, and we probably need, let's go with a mining helmet, just so we have some light. All right. Now, there are going to be some issues. And as you can tell, like, there's dirt down here. Now, normally you're not going to have dirt. Let's grab ourselves a shovel. Get a different color shovel. I want the best shovel I can get. There we go. Now, normally you aren't going to have dirt down here, but if you don't do a change to all of your prefabs, which is actually really easy to do, if you don't do that, then you'll have these weird blocks of air around every single prefab, and it looked weird, so I went ahead and made the change. But the problem is that anything underground will inherit, will just be like this. Will have dirt in them. So that's the only drawback. There's really no way around that unless you went in with a prefab editor and edited every single prefab. And I wasn't going to do that for this. So let's go ahead and open this up. Oh, the weather outside is frightful, and the door is way too hard. Why am I doing that? Oh, that's why I'm doing it, because things. Here, wait. This is the bunker. We'll explore it again when there's not when it's not full of dirt. But anyway, we're back up into the water now. So, I think it's kind of cool when they add boats to the world. I just may do it. I mean, there are going to be glitches like that. There's no way around the fact that these things are designed to be above water. Now, you notice there's no plants. The water does get rid of all of the plants. And what I have done in this world, so you do see there's still land to build on. And this world has a varied climate. I've set up for a 50% chance of raining all the time in the desert, and it's kind of surprised that it's not raining right now. And there are only two biomes. There's this desert biome, and then there is a maple forest biome. So let's see if we can find the maple forest biome really quickly. There's those. Oh, just those. Okay, so let's do a quick. I'm going to pause so we can cover more stuff. So be right back. All right, so here we are. We're in the maple forest biome, and it's your box standard maple forest biome, and then desert right there. So there's no plains. There's nothing else. Now this biome will basically extend up as far as you want to go. There's a bear. Now you'll still get towns. There's a house. You'll still get all the other generation. In fact, you'll even get towns, underwater towns, and that you can go in and loot. So you'll still get all that stuff, just in a very, very different kind of world. So how do we do this? And bear in mind that there is sometimes a long way between. There's some land there, land here. There's that nice big chunk of land there that we were around, and that's where we started off. Actually, no, yeah, that's where we started off, right around there. All right, so I'm going to go in and now show you how you could do this if you wanted to have a really different 7 Days to Die experience. Now, bear in mind, once again, you want to do this on a copy of your config file, and you're gonna it's the config directory and your prefab directory. So you have prefabs and config will both be modified. So you'll want to make a copy of those two directories before you do any of this work. So in the biomes file, I decided that I only wanted desert and I wanted maple forest. That made it easy, just two biomes to deal with. So what I did is I went into the forest biome and I adjusted the cloud thickness to be 50% chance of basically not too cloudy, and 50% chance of having lots of clouds with rain. I figured this is a wet world, so it's going to have a lot of rainfall. I also increased the fog slightly. And then the big change, and it was pretty simple, was right here. This layer fill up to 92. Okay? So basically this says up to 92 blocks above zero, which is down bedrock, fill it up with water. Now I played with 80 and values up to 100. You'll get different amounts of actual land area above water and different amounts below water. So you can tweak that, play with it, see what you like. I liked 92. It was very sparse, yet still had some good sized land areas. So again, this is something you can just play with. I would go at least 80. You can go down to 70 if you want to, but again, it depends on how much water you want. And then for the desert biome, I did the same basic change, only I increased the cloud. Basically, it's always going to be a minimum of 70% clouds up to 100% clouds, probability of 1. So it should always be cloudy-ish in the desert, with a 100% chance that if the clouds, if it's going to rain, it's going to rain. And I also increased the wind, so it's windy, even though wind doesn't apply yet. I figured I'll just do it for there. And again, here's that desert ground, and let me just show you. If you wanted to have no zombies spawning on desert ground, if you went into your, let's go in here, go into our blocks.xml file, and if we look up plains ground, clay, bedrock, desert ground, if you add right in here a property name equals can mobs spawn on, value equals false, then they would have no zombies spawning in the desert. Kind of an interesting thought. Big empty world, zombies not on islands, so zombies would only be found on those higher fertile ground forest areas, which that could be a really interesting mix. Let's go ahead and delete that so I don't forget that I have that later on. All right, so that's basically all you got to do. You got to go in here and you adjust your layer, fill up to org 90 to 92 or whatever value you want to go to. Again, I recommend that you do at least 80. But if you want more water, then this works out pretty darn well. That's all you got to do. Pretty freaking simple, right? I did also change it in the water biome. So if you do, it's right down, burnt forest, wasteland, radiated. There we go. In this water biome, I set, yeah, I guess it doesn't, this part doesn't matter. So yeah, I just want to do it in the desert and whatever other biome you wanted. Now you could specify whether, I mean, if you want it to be snow, perfect. You could have, some sort of Arctic kind of thing, with just snow if you wanted to. Now, the thing that controls that is in your rwgmixer file. If you go down to the bottom of the rwgmixer file, this is the biome spawn rules that tell it like what biomes to spawn at what points. So what I did is I said, okay, so remember that the ground starts at, I think, block 60. So that's ground level or sea level. So anything from 60 to 90 basically would be desert. Now again, it's not exact because when it hits 30, it doesn't immediately turn to forest. It'll go, I assume that what it does is look and see, is there X number of blocks that will be above that elevation? Like maybe it's 100 blocks. If it's over 100 blocks, then we'll go ahead and add a new biome, forest. So everything from 30 on up is forest. Now remember that forest is fairly flat, so you're not going to have a lot of elevation change in that. But if you wanted to go with snow or something like that, you could easily do that again. But again, you're going to want to have, if you only want 2 biomes, you want to set it up like this, and then you only get 2 biomes. So again, and then, let me just show you buffs. Let's see if we can figure out what mistake I made here. So I added a buff. I didn't mention my operating room that I added as well, but there's an operating room, operating table that you get. Now there's a craftable item in the mod pack. I didn't cover it, but basically you make this block. It's 2 blocks in size, and if you step on it, it fixes your broken legs and sprained legs and your infections and adds a splint buff to you. It also heals you. Obviously it heals you as well. So anyway, Aquaman is the buff. Lasts for 1 in-game hour. Aquadude, it debuffs cannot breathe and drowning, and you also need to modify the cannot breathe and add the mutex for that, so it rolls around kind of, well, not it, otherwise it won't apply right. So, and then I added my recipe for can of air, which was, you know, can of empty, short pipe and glass. They're basic, you know, bog standard that goodies. And then in items, I think it has to be capital. I think that's the difference. Let me check buff. Yeah. Oops. Maybe I go. I don't think you need to add that. Oh, maybe you do have to have the buff chance in there. Maybe that's why I messed up. No, yeah, it's just 100%. Okay, yeah, I think it was just the capitalization error. Capitalization. Sometimes it's the tiny little things that get me. Usually it's a semicolon. All right, so basically this is my can is copied to can, gave it a custom icon, and colored it, and gave it that eat action and buff of Aquaman. You can't wear an item and have an item a buff apply on wear yet, even though I'm assuming when they introduce the environmental, like hot and cold, they'll have to have a buff applied when worn. That will allow them to counteract hot or cold, etc. So we'll see how that how they actually do it, but I'm assuming that's what they're going to do, is have a buff if worn kind of action. So straightforward. I think that's pretty cool. Let's hop back in one last time and take a look at the world again. All right, I just wanted to show you an example of, you know, one of the bigger buildings underwater. Now, I assume, I'm not positive, but I'm assuming that this will have the same issue inside. Oh no, that's not good. Okay, I thought it might fill up with dirt, but I think it's only if it's below. Now, there are going to be pockets of air in there, so you could get your breath if you had to swim down without, you know, if you're looting and you don't have all your stuff yet for your can of air, which actually does work now. So if I click this, see it's expired. So if I click it, I do get my buff now. So it was just that typo. So that's kind of cool, and it's raining. And I also wanted to test this out really quick. I also realized that I had forgotten, oops, don't lose my can of air. I had forgotten an important thing. Spawn a mini bike in. So yes, you can drive a mini bike underwater. Woohoo! Pimps. I hope they don't take that off, because you could then take your mini bike. That's definitely a much faster way of driving. I mean, it's still slower, but it's a lot faster than walking, I'll tell you that much. So if you need to get around in the world and you have your mini bike, until the boats are here, I would suggest, yeah, mini biking across the USA. Come on. Whoa, that was a weird effect going on there. Alright, let's and then I forgot the most important thing, which was all the changes to the prefabs. So let me, I don't know why I'm bothering to park up, but I am. So I don't know, I think it's kind of cool. It's a very different kind of world, that's for darn sure. Alright, so how do you change the prefabs? So let's go ahead and quit out of here. I'll quit out of there. I'm not going to go back. So, in your 7 Days to Die modding, or your 7 Days to Die CMAPS, common, 7 Days to Die, data, prefabs directory. Now, you won't have custom and multi-piece. I don't think you'll have multi-piece. Yeah, you won't have multi-piece. You won't have these two folders, probably. You might have a custom folder, depends. And there will be all the prefabs in here. So each prefab has an XML file that goes along with it. So if you edit this XML file, you'll have a line right here that says copy air blocks, and this value will be true. So basically it says put air all around it. Okay? It also tells you if there's spawn. So this is where you can. I'll get into this maybe some other time, but this is also where whether or not you would get a spawn on this block, or if there's a spawner in it. So you can take this off, no spawning. So, but how do you do all of it? If you use an editor like Notepad++, what you can do is you go into search and you say find in files. And then you'll want to go in here. Let's go ahead and edit this file again. I have it open in a separate window right now. So actually, I'll pull it over so you can see it. So I'm grabbing this copy air blocks. And remember, it would say true by default. So I'll go in here and I would type that. And normally it's going to say true, like that. And I want to change it to be false. I want to have it do just the XML, so you could just filters, you can do star.xml, and then you want to tell it to look in your CMAPS Commons 7 Days to Die Prefabs directory. And now what it'll do very quickly is it'll go through, and you say replacing files, it'll go through in like a less than a second and make a change to all those files. And you can always put it right back by going in here. And we're going to say false. Whoops. False. And we're going to say true. And I'll put all my prefabs back into the correct option. So if I do a replace all, yes, please. Boom, it's done. 454 occurrences changed. And now if I open one of these XML files up, copy air blocks, value is true. Simple, easy to do, but that is the one key step. If you do not do this, let me show you what the world looks like if you do not do that. Okay, so this is what happens if you do not have that copy air blocks turned on. So when you get a block like this, it keeps the air inside. If copy air blocks is set to true, it puts air in all the empty spots of the prefab itself. So this is all part of the prefab as designed. So basically any empty block becomes air. If you have it set to false, then whatever's outside fills in automatically. So this is what would happen if you had that not set. So then you get this really weird looking, like that, which just looks odd. There's a tent over here, and it looks, this whole campground looks like that. So obviously it looks much better and much more, kind of believable. You'll still have the odd, because the way the world works, you get just around angles. It doesn't flow in yet. So I think that having that copy air block set to true, set to false, makes for a much better. Got me, cactus, you bastard. It makes for a much better experience. All right. Well, if you guys like this idea, let me know. I thought it was pretty cool. And again, it would be a really interesting world. If you guys are interested in it and want me to do it, I'll package it up without all of my extra mods. It'll be just kind of the core stuff just for this, and I can put it out there as a play test world that you could download yourself with all the. I can put all the prefabs converted as well. You guys could just let me know what you guys want me to do. Anywho, leave me a like, comment, subscribe, share this with your friends and family. I think people would be really interested in seeing WaterWorld in 7 Days to Die, because it's pretty it's just kind of cool. I like it. It would be a very interesting survival experience. All right, friends, talk to you later. Bye.